The only piece of ground that right now I got left to mine is on the airport and is underneath your license.
What you're saying is that basically I've got control whether you can mine or not. Give me one good reason not to tell you to go yourself.
Looks like Parker has just revealed that he has been stealing gold from Tony Beets' ground. Parker Schnabel and his team face challenges in their gold mining operation in the Yukon as they prepare for a mining season with 90 acres of land, more than double their previous area, and decided to steal gold from Tony Beets' grounds. Tony Beets went totally nuts when he found out about this. Stay tuned to see how it all played out. Could these challenges hold them down from achieving this season? Despite unexpected challenges, such as a surprise claim from Tony and record snowfall, both teams remain determined to extract gold from the frozen ground and turn tons of dirt into shiny treasure before the season's end.
I don't want to downsize. You know, we've spent so many years building up to a size of company where I really enjoy it, we make good money.
Parker Schnabel is preparing for an enormous challenge in the Yukon, where snow blankets the landscape. He has to cover a lot more territory before the season concludes because of his arrangement with Tony Beets. The outcome of this spring will determine their ability to obtain gold by the fall, thus it is quite essential. Come along as Parker and his crew face off against the elements and the clock in their quest to uncover a wealth buried beneath the freezing tundra. In order to tackle this massive task, Parker assembled a team that included both old and new pals. They now have an enormous 90 acres to mine, thanks to Tony's additional acreage. They increased their output over last year by 50%. Time was of the essence, and they were prepared. Under Nona Lovelace's direction, the crew began operating the massive D10 dozer. The additional 45 acres of land had to have their gold extracted within a week. It was an unprecedented sprint, and Parker understood they had to perform to their maximum potential. The end of the season was drawing near, and time was of the essence. Although their strategy was sound, Tony sprung an unexpected surprise with yet another claim. They were hoping nothing would go wrong, since it added additional tasks to their list of things to complete. Things were already challenging before the tremendous snowfall that year. In order to get the gold, Tatiana Costa, who drives trucks with ease, had to clear a lot of snow. They had not anticipated the delay. While acting like a leader, Parker recalled tales from his grandfather's time spent overseeing Alaskan logging camps without modern conveniences like the internet. Parker drew inspiration from his history and decided to take on multiple projects simultaneously. Following in his grandfather's footsteps, it was the sole method to solve the mystery. Time was also an enemy of Tyson Lee, who was operating the large excavator.
That should take us less time to get started sluicing here because we should be frost-free. I think I should be able to get going in the next week or two.
They dug trenches to shield their mining area from the melting snow because of the record-breaking snowfall. The team's resolve to overcome obstacles posed by nature was on full display as Tyson acted swiftly to avert a catastrophe. Mitch had a major task ahead of him as the crew continued, starting up the facility. All systems had to be operational because it was an essential task. If the wash plants failed miserably, their gold expedition would be a bust. Amidst doubts, the crew was prepared to transform mounds of dirt into lustrous gold, and when they examined the gold from Tony Beets' claim, the truth became apparent. The team saw the scale rise as they congregated. Extraordinary, almost $240,000 in gold. Early success provided them the confidence to tackle the big task ahead, even though it was just the beginning. Parker thanked Tony for the opportunity and predicted a busy season. The mighty Lucifer, who was crucial to their plot, added to the excitement. Everything was back on track, tools were working, and the scale sparkled. They would encounter much more challenges than expected on this magnificent trip. Parker Schnabel battled the clock in the Yukon's bitter cold. Fortune awaited them on the frigid ground, and the group was ready. Parker's great gold expedition began with optimism, perseverance, and the thrill of finding gold under the snow. Explore this topic further. Parker persisted despite seeing many enthusiastic miners quit. Despite many challenges, he persevered. Parker extracted over 45,000 ounces of gold, worth $86 million despite the changing gold mining business. Parker, 27, is contemplating his future. Klondike mining conditions worsen daily. Parker realizes he must adapt and extend his actions to keep his goals alive due to stricter rules and limited access to the best mining areas. Parker has opted to mine gold. Parker chooses to try something new in Alaska. I appreciate it, please. He plans to mine a new claim, but maintaining 2 sites in different countries presents new risks and challenges. Parker knows his financial and mental well-being are at risk. Parker decides to try the Klondike one final time before focusing on Alaska.
It's good. Parker's here now. You see the gold's picked up.
I think that we've brought you nothing but bad luck.
His principal water license for his gold-rich airport claim expires at year's end. The clock ticks. Parker might lose all remaining gold forever. Therefore, failure is unacceptable. However, the future won't be easy. Broken supply chains and rising gas prices are key obstacles. You must carefully calculate every decision and activity to maximize success. Parker is determined to locate more gold this season despite his duty. Parker and his team are preparing for the season's tough difficulties. Despite snow and bad weather, they work. Every second counts. Parker is prepared to play to his strengths while knowing this will be his toughest season. He thinks a 10,000-ounce season would be amazing this time. While surveying his surroundings, he noticed Tyson stripping. Parker asked Tyson about his health out of curiosity. Tyson thinks everything is okay. Parker saw that they had been focused with camp organization, soil transfer, and transformation. Tyson said the airstrip was their main aim, a scheme that promised over $9 million in gold by day's end. Parker suggested letting snow cover some areas so they wouldn't be molested when mining. He stressed against halting the flow and preventing the ramp from turning in midway. It was wise, according to Tyson. Parker then asked about Tony, the man with the other 2 airstrip claims. He wondered if Tony was involved in the project and where. Tyson told Parker that Tony wasn't around and had just removed some equipment from the Indian River camp. Parker contacted Tony since his absence was odd. Despite their rocky relationship, Tony gave Parker a chance and helped them settle in the Yukon. A major mining figure, Tony was renowned for his experience. After meeting at the mill, Parker and Tony exchanged pleasantries. Parker mentioned their downstream success while worried about the license's expiration and the land's untapped potential. His suggestion was to mine the airfield if Tony wasn't already intending to. Tony thanked Parker for his success.
Suck the water out of the big pond, and then the rest bang, bang, bang.
All right, well, Tony, I appreciate it.
Let's make it work this time.
Thanks,
okay?
Tony.
You bet. Parker, good luck with it.
Their shared past and how their lives intermingled were on his mind. Tony acknowledged Parker's achievements and influence despite their disputes. Tony and his staff were thriving, but they knew they needed to prepare for the tough times. Tony visited his son Mike to check on their hunting. Mike delivered horrible news. No hunt was successful. It got harder every day. Tony lamented that everything good was pricey or tied up. The situation was depressing and they were losing. After hearing about others' extravagant spending, Tony and Mike decided to act. They acted fast to avoid missed opportunities. Anthony fretted about the workload this summer and asked Mike if they would have enough. Mike wanted to chat to Tony because they were busy. Stripping the dirt to their property boundary left 2 claims at the bottom. Tony was unhappy about Mike's site absence, and this was because Mike preferred working at the site over going home. Tony understood Mike's feelings but claimed this was impossible, no mining licenses or plans. His employment ended. Tony offered to let Mike handle mining operations. Recognizing an opportunity, he advised investigating permissions and claims. Tony prioritized licenses. Without it, valuable resources would go untapped forever. Instead of a sliding scale, they explored a 15% flat royalty rate for the 2 claims. Tony considered this a fair deal because it would prevent them from gaining more licenses. Royalty range, they seal the deal after Mike agrees. Tony believed Mike could achieve despite his struggles. Niceties and thanks for the deal were exchanged. Tony was delighted they extracted resources without permits. Tony thinks about his choice as they part. He thought licenses were worthless with 15% royalties. He wanted to finish the grant and address the issue. Tony noticed their workload had increased significantly before Alaska. He was resolved to defend his creation and fight the war. Tony fled the Netherlands 40 years ago for the Klondike. Hard labor and dedication built his gold mining empire. Tony overcame last season's permit revocation. Tony invested millions in new equipment for their Indian River business this season.
On the heat seat. My ass is nice and warm.
Oh, nice.
She's a smooth ride already, I can tell.
That's good. Come better be.
The thick snow hampered their plans. Tony hated that snow kept falling after clearing it. Heavy snowfall made Paradise Hill impossible to approach. Tony told Mike to lead the startup crew clearing the access road. Tony recognized Mike was one of the few people he could trust with this crucial task. Snow removal required attention. He caused his father's death accident. Mike recognized the risks and accepted responsibility. His father trusted him to command and make decisions on site. Tony stayed positive despite their challenges. To reach their 5,000-ounce gold goal, he understood they had to expand on Paradise Hill. Fuel, salaries, and food prices rose, adding pressure. Tony grasped the business's size and the significant expenditure needed to succeed. He shouted to Tyson, who was controlling the dozer blade, to position and ease the iron. Knowing precision was crucial, Tyson listened carefully. Tyson carefully pushed the 19-foot dozer blade. By pressing against the track, the blade gently repositioned it. Jordan stabilized the machinery with a bar, as Tyson gently pushed the idler to align it. Since his perspective was blocked, Tyson had to rely on Jordan's advice. Every move was delicate and precise, like a man-machine dance. Tyson and Jordan guided the track into place cautiously. As they saw it slide snugly into its slot, the air relaxed. The big machinery was being repaired and restarted. Fred Lewis, a military veteran turned gold miner, faced his own problems. With a weak economy and limited cash, he refinanced his home to get rich. He wanted to find 500 ounces of gold this season, up from last year. Fred knew it was risky. Failure to locate gold might end his mining venture. He threw everything into this, relying just on himself and his crew. No outside support was available. Fred felt the pressure as he prepared for the season.
I don't have anything else to throw at this.
I know, sorry, well, but it's one of those things, we're not gonna go home, we're not gonna quit.
I'm gonna run out of money.
He wanted to succeed for himself and his fellow veterans. He treasured the mission. Fred had to cross the Yukon River to access his claim, the long-closed ice road. Fred worried that the ice would crack and the ferry would run because time was running out. Fred was frustrated since he couldn't advance his claim or set up anything. Mother Nature had thwarted his ambitions, and he felt strained. To reach his gold goal, he had to start mining immediately. The river finally broke apart after days of waiting. Fred's crew reacted. Veteran gold miner Tony Beets brought his family to work. Lucas, Jasper, and Tony Beets were ready to work together. After clearing the snow and preparing the machinery, the team was excited to mine gold. A new start, an opportunity to make their imprint and conquer obstacles. They knew the stakes were enormous, but they were determined to succeed this season. Tyson carefully aligned the 19-foot dozer blade. Since his vision was impaired, he pushed the idler as Jordan held it up, following verbal instructions. It was nerve-wracking, but they trusted each other's competence to succeed. Fred Lewis has his own issues. Fred invested everything in his mining enterprise to get rich and help his fellow soldiers. He refinanced his property and set a goal of 500 ounces of gold this season, up from last year. Fred knew it was risky. Failure to locate gold meant no turning back and financial ruin. Fred remained hopeful, willing to take any risk to face the challenges ahead with his group. Fred's claim was separated from Dawson City by the Yukon River. As winter turns to spring, an ice road breaks up, making it unsafe to cross. Fred waited for the river to thaw and the ferry service to commence so he could reach his claim. After days, Fred's frustration mounted. He felt powerless until the river was passable. He saw the snow melt and the river open, knowing time was passing away. Finally, the river was safe to cross. Fred and his crew quickly crossed the Yukon River to reach their claim. They were relieved when Tony's workers cleared the snow and prepped the mining site. Tony convened everyone to discuss mining season plans. They wanted to try something different to discover gold. They found housing in Yukon. They focused on a river
You're gonna get 9,000 ounces out of the ground. We need bigger and newer equipment. Hopefully it arrives on time.
Where they had seen hopeful signals, but there was an issue. Their license to mine in that area was revoked. It was a setback, but Tony was determined to continue. He presented an alternative. They would concentrate on a nearby hill. It was difficult to excavate 130 feet deep. Tony hoped the work would pay off. They ended their financial problems and secured a better future for all. The group worked. Each person had a job. Mike monitored excavation cuttings to ensure accuracy. Kevin worked on the mechanics, keeping the machinery running. They faced several obstacles early on. They needed to thaw the frozen land from winter. Professionals worked on the issue until they found a solution. No matter how difficult, they worked hard and used their skills to succeed. Tony became optimistic. He thought this year would be different. He dreamed of finding a gold mountain to fund their activities and raise everyone's level of living. The obstacles ahead would not deter him from victory. Their efforts paid off as weeks passed. They gradually exposed soil and rock to achieve their goal. They wanted gold and wanted to succeed. Their belief that they would get rich kept them going. It took weeks of hard work, but they succeeded. They found a gold vein in the ground. They were thrilled to see their efforts recognized. This moment was anticipated by all. They were re-energized following their win. Their perseverance paid off as they extracted gold to the fullest. Tony's anticipated mining season arrived. The village soon heard they were successful miners. Many noticed how hard they worked. The neighborhood cheered them on in solidarity. By season's end, much gold was extracted. They celebrated their group victory once their hard work was recognized. Working together and overcoming hurdles helped them achieve their goal. Despite its challenges, mining season taught them significant life lessons. They learned to work together, take risks, and follow their passions.
Well, that's what happens when you get things organized. If you put the heat to it, then things fire up like nothing.
They were ready for any challenge, even though hard times were ahead. However, Fred had perfected his profession and could manage any assignment while keeping everything moving smoothly. But he felt he needed a vacation. He could rest and recharge in a quiet area behind the cup. The ambitious Parker Schnabel sought gold in the Yukon. He was 18 and full of potential. The Klondike in Yukon attracts everyone. Everyone trying to make it big during the gold rush, from brave to forlorn. Something unusual happened. Fred had arrived in Dawson City with the local miners to watch the Yukon River break down in spring. This custom began with the 1896 gold rush. To start the mining season, a tripod was secured to the ice by a cable that snapped when it drifted away from the coast. With anticipation, the miners waited for the cable to crack. When it occurred, they knew their efforts would increase. Joyful exclamations followed the wire snapping. Official mining season began. The miners acted when they realized it was time. They had to wash several boulders and traverse a lot of ground. But something was wrong. Since their wash plant wasn't working, they needed to hurry. Parker and Tyson worked hard to build ditches and berms to prevent flooding after the snow melted. They acted quickly to avoid flooding acres of gold-rich soil, which would cause huge setbacks. When hope was lost, rock truck driver Tatiana radioed Tyson for rescue. She discovered that snowmelt was filling the ditch and may soon overrun the cup. They needed a solution fast. Tyson acted quickly when he recognized they needed a powerful pump to deal with the water. He and mechanic Alex started the pump in the cold. Every part of their company depended on success. Tyson and Alec worked on connecting and running the pump as the water level rose. Pumps and pipelines require tremendous vigilance. The assignment required precision and understanding, which was difficult. Someone as smart and determined as Tyson came up with a pump repair solution quickly. They struggled to lift and repair the broken apparatus. Tyson resumed digging after the rain stopped. The buddies felt relieved to take command, but they knew they faced a bigger task.
We have practically Niagara Falls, and this is because of a record snowfall year, and it's starting to warm up, so we have to deal with this now.
They struggled to restrict water flow from the valley to their quarry. A constant water flow was problematic. Tyson was determined to fix the drainage issue, which was vital to their mining operation. He knew the poor drainage would prevent them from collecting gold that year. They discussed and decided to consult with J.B. Mayer, a mechanic. J.B. Mayer's reputation for maintaining important equipment expanded during the mining season. J.B. might assist Tyson and Fred figure things out. Mine owner Troy Taylor was selling a dozer, so they went to see him. Troy Taylor, an experienced gold miner, understood the importance of a dozer for their operation. He sold them a 53-ton Komatsu D355 monster. The dozer's size and power amazed the buddies, due to its 14-foot blade soil-moving power. However, the dozer's last drive leak was discovered promptly. JB assured them the issue was within reach and offered assistance. That relieved the friends, who wanted to avoid issues. They bargained for $45,000 for the dozer. Tyson considered the price fair given the equipment's importance to their mining season. Several people debated pricing. I want it for $40,000 to save on shipping. Kevin, fund administrator. His co-workers called him the budget guy. Kevin discussed an investment in a meeting. It was money well spent, he said. However, he wanted to ask anything without offending. Kevin described their limited budget. Can they negotiate a lower price? He wondered. He made a recommendation before receiving a response to sweeten the deal.
Hopefully this move goes well and we can be back to sluicing and making money as soon as possible.
He suggested giving them a 1% gold bonus at season's end based on performance. In the short term, this would save them money and reward their efforts. The other person considered and accepted the suggestion. They settled on $40 plus the 1% incentive after additional haggling. Both sides agreed to proceed after examining the agreement. While the Beets family labored to clean up Paradise Hills, Mike led them. They planned to find a profitable white channel by week's end. Time was crucial because missing the deadline would require more work. Kevin, chief mechanic and Tony's eldest son, encountered difficulties in keeping the rock trucks in good working order as the project advanced. The machine experienced problems due to the absence of some crucial fasteners. So that everything could continue to run properly, Kevin had to fix the issue right away. It was unfortunate that one of the smoke-belching trucks broke down. Kevin took stock of the situation in a flash and determined that a hose had broken. The truck would remain inoperable for a few days due to a lack of stock for the necessary parts. As quickly as possible, Kevin intended to go to Indianapolis to get the necessary components. Mike, who was sure of his team's strength, left the place at the same moment. In addition, he intended to verify other details. He thought they might boost their output with extra trucks. Mike and Parker were facing some challenges on their voyage. Mike was afraid he would misplace something crucial. Along the way, they encountered unforeseen challenges, such as misplacing their equipment. Despite Parker's best efforts, things became more difficult for Mike. Regardless of the obstacles, they persisted.
Holy Tony, this isn't what I expected to see.
A chain broke, tipped off, fell off on the high side, as you can see.
Things became even more challenging due to the slick road. To lift Mike's spirits, Parker told him that winning was the most important thing. Their dozer and truck were finally making headway with Dad's assistance. Mike had regained his bearings and was calling on everyone to return quickly for the impending haul. At the same time, Steve had previously loaned Mike $5 and had to remind him about it one day. Mike apologized for forgetting and assured the owner that he would return the item promptly. Preparing for yet another day of work, Steve that they divide up to get more done. He boldly went on, leaving Mike in his wake. Mike lost his footing after accidentally bumping against a loose rock. He stamped on the rock in an attempt to get back on his feet, but he just kept sliding in the wrong places. The road was slippery, he realized. Steve, meanwhile, persisted with his explorations deep within the mine. A rumbling sound caught his ear, and he quickly turned around to see Mike wobbling unsteadily. By working together, they were able to get Mike up and running again. Following what happened, the two friends resolved to remain close and take extra precautions. They continued to dig, hoping to find a mineral vein that would be the catalyst for a life-altering event. Digging and hunting for clues of riches, they labored ceaselessly. Their efforts appeared to be futile as days stretched into weeks. Nevertheless, they persisted in their resolve to discover anything of value. They would frequently support one another, bringing attention to their end objective. At last, one day, while digging further into the ground, they discovered an unusual rock formation. It looked different from the other rocks around it and had a very yellow tone. Realizing they had struck gold sent a jolt of excitement coursing through their bodies.
If we're gonna do 9,000 ounces this year, we better get the thing on the go.
Yes, sir.
Good, Mike.
The discovery was praised by Mike and Steve, who were overwhelmed with pleasure. Their efforts and determination had been recognized. They noted the spot precisely and devised a strategy to safely retrieve the gold. As soon as word got out about their find, the mine site became a hive of activity. Witnessing the increased prosperity attracted people from far and wide. As a result of their hard work and achievements, Mike and Steve rose to prominence in the mining industry. However, the situation appeared bleak and heavy snowfall was occurring. As they stood outside, Jack and his companion Fred took stock of the expansive snowfall that enveloped their surroundings. It was 3 or 4 feet deep, and they were well aware that clearing it would be an enormous undertaking. The path leading to Fred's claim was their top priority, but it was entirely covered in snow and ice. Worse yet, Buzz's little deuce was all they had for snow removal, as the new dozer was still in Chino. The time that Fred had was crucial. Even though they had scheduled a fuel delivery, the fuel delivery guy showed up hours early. The fuel truck was going to have to depart unless they cleared the road soon, which would be another setback for Fred. Jack could feel the stress building up. Their predicament appeared critical, and he hadn't bargained for such heavy snowfall. But there was a ray of optimism shining through: the small dozer. Jack clung to the notion that it would rescue them again, as it had done so before. Jack made up his mind to start moving with a look of resolve in his eyes. They were encouraged by the gasoline truck's successful ascent of the dangerous road, which suggested that their truck might also do the journey. Fearlessly embracing the obstacles that lay ahead, he climbed inside the truck. As they traversed the snow, Jack experienced a blend of enthusiasm and apprehension. The 2 weeks of preparation had paid off, and Fred could now begin his mining season.
All right. With no rock truck, Buzz and I had a talk. We're gonna do something drastic. We're going to Freedom Cut.
As they approached their claim, though, their enthusiasm swiftly transformed into shock. They discovered a sheet of ice covering their entire claim rather than a watercourse. It seemed as though the region had been engulfed by a glacier, which had buried the pay dirt, which was rich in gold beneath its icy surface. The enormity of the task left Fred speechless, and Jack found himself wondering how they would face it. Before beginning any mining activities, they were aware that a strong plan was necessary. Serious injury or death could befall someone due to the significant risk involved. Jack was determined to make sure everyone was safe and successful, no matter the cost. Nevertheless, that was not the case. At the same time, other discussions drifted around them. Unexpectedly, Tony had discovered pay dirt, which may have revealed a huge layer of gravel rich with gold. There was a tangible air of eagerness. Jack wished they would soon find more gold so they could start weighing it again. Mike and Parker had a brief conversation. It was time for Mike to hit the town, and Parker needed to get back to work. They made plans to meet up later. Tony, a miner, paused to take in the dazzling illumination as he worked to complete his chores. Tony was expecting to receive more gold than he had planned because he decided to mine deep gravel. Tony was hoping for a solid season because the salary got better the deeper they went. Immense anticipation consumed the crew as they readied themselves for sluicing. Much obliged. After returning to the mine, Parker rounded up his crew, which included Chris and Mitch. Although they acknowledged the immense distance they still needed to travel, they maintained a positive outlook on the next season. The enthusiasm was contagious, and they were hell-bent on seizing the chance no matter what. After their first gold weigh-in, the squad anxiously awaited the results in the gold room. The season got off to a strong start with gold valued over $240,000. Rick, another teammate, appeared distant and was conspicuously absent.
We pulled out 11,250 ounces of gold out of here. $13 million.
That reclamation's already going on.
A growing sense of unease prompted Parker to go see how he was doing. Fearing about Rick's safety, he went to Rick's house in search of answers. As events progressed, readers felt both joy at the mining season's promising start and worry for a buddy who was dealing with mysterious problems. Uncertainty remained as the crew prepared for the challenges that lay ahead, complicating their mining journey even further. In the Klondike region of Yukon, Parker Schnabel had previously built a mining business that was among the most prosperous in the region. Strict rules, skyrocketing gasoline prices, and an imminent recession cast doubt on his future in the Yukon. Parker was aware that the quarry they were working on will eventually dry up. He was troubled by worries regarding his company's future. However, he chose not to give up, but rather to open a new mine in his home state of Alaska. The team discovered a major concern in California Creek. Ice blocked their digging spot. Fred boldly proposed using a pump to melt ice and open their mining location. The team worked hard and had challenges moving the pump and handling the ice.
Buzz, this is Fred. I need you to come to the 220 ASAP. Looks like we may have found a quartz vein.
Fred guided the crew through each step with his experience. As they struggled to crack the ice, tension mounted. The crew made a route for water to melt the ice with dedication and smart thinking. Happy to save the ice, they celebrated their first season win. The story then followed Brendan Clayton. He had ice-damaged equipment and other issues. He remained optimistic about the season and was eager to excavate his own area. While living in the challenging Klondike region, Fred and Brendan were neighbors and discussed their season objectives. A total of 500 ounces of gold was their mutual goal. In a light-hearted manner, they wager a case of whiskey on the subject of who might unearth more treasure. Even though they weren't confident they could get 500 ounces of gold, Fred and Jones were definitely competing in a friendly race to see who could get to their gold mining site earliest. Jones playfully suggested that Fred might have been there earlier, but Fred was adamant that he would beat Jones to it. The first gold weigh of the season was quickly approaching, and anticipation was high. Jones, John Hamm, Jasmine, Walt, and Tony were among the team members who met at the mining site in anticipation of a great season. A good spirit pervaded the atmosphere despite the difficulties. To Tony, it was critical to get off to a good start this season and to make sure they had enough supplies. The team's attention turned to the gold weighing procedure, an important milestone. To get the season off to a good start, everyone was waiting for the results. They kept joking around as they were ready for the big reveal. Tyson Lee, a seasoned operator, took over the controls of Big Red, an integral component of their mining operation. Tyson gave the squad an update on their preparations for the Alaskan Operation Gold Medal while Parker and Mitch were abroad. At the airstrip, the squad greeted Parker as he returned from his journey to Alaska. They spoke about the possibilities and threats posed by the landscape of Alaska, with Tyson emphasizing the importance of demonstrating their dedication to mining in the state.
Under a lot of time pressure because Big Red has an appointment with Mud Mountain that is going to come up in a hurry.
Parker's focus shifted to Big Red because he thought it would produce a lot of gold. Their anticipation of the results reached an all-time high. Big Red put up some remarkable stats, and the squad rejoiced. Reflecting on their accomplishments, the team's camaraderie and cooperation shone through. Thank goodness everything went off without a hitch while Parker was away, and they couldn't help but be optimistic about the upcoming season. In their gold mining adventure, the protagonists eagerly anticipated both difficulties and opportunities. They wished each other well for the future as the story came to a close. Well, looks like that was an encouraging beginning to the gold mining season, thanks to the team's resiliency and capacity to conquer challenges. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling contents like this.